Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? My name is Gavin Morris. I'm the Chief Development and Marketing Officer at Feeding San Diego. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon for our Unite Stakeholder call. We've been holding these calls now on a monthly basis to continue to keep the community informed about our COVID-19 response efforts. We have some incredible partners with us today who will be speaking with you. If you want to go ahead and if you're logged in via Zoom, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions. We're going to have, after we get through the majority of the agenda, we'll do the Q&A at the end of the call. So feel free to enter those throughout the session. I also have a number of my colleagues that will be able to answer some of the questions as we work through the program. So just a quick run through on our agenda for today. Just as a refresher for those of you that might be new to Feeding San Diego, just run through our mission and vision. I'll be speaking briefly to the increasing demand for services. And then I will be introducing Dana Henderson, our Director of Programs, who will speak to advocating for those we serve. And then we also have one of our community partners with us today, Pro Kids Oceanside. And we have Rhiannon Ricky with us. She's the Youth Development and Community Outreach Coordinator. And then we'll be followed by our incredible corporate partner, Kroger, Ralphson Food for Less. And we have John Votava here today, the Director of Corporate Affairs. And then we'll transition over to Alicia Saki, our COO, who will be discussing our food sourcing and distribution. And then she will also cover emergency preparedness during this time of wildfire preparedness and that sort of thing. And then I'll touch on quickly our community support and celebrate some of our incredible donors. And then we will transition into the Q&A. So as many of you probably know, Feeding San Diego was founded in 2007. We actually began at a time when we were struggling with incredible fires throughout San Diego County, which was wreaking havoc throughout the county. And we distributed, after 3 months since we were founded, 515,000 pounds of emergency supplies at our first distribution. So today, when you're looking at on an annual basis, we provide more than 26 million meals. I, in particular, am incredibly proud of how far this organization has come along to really emerge as the leading hunger relief organization in San Diego County. Our mission is to connect every person facing hunger with nutritious meals by maximizing food rescue. And all of my dedicated colleagues fervently believe in this mission, and we believe that there is enough wasted food to solve the issue of hunger. It's a matter of coordination and logistics in order to get that food to the people in need. And finally, our vision statement is a hunger-free and healthy San Diego. Moving on to our increasing demand for services, just want to touch on briefly the number of cases that the San Diego County is reporting out. So as of August 16th, there were 35,000 total cases. Based on the recent news over the last couple of days, it looks promising in terms of our ability to potentially be removed from the state monitoring list. I believe that is based on less than 100 new cases per day per 100,000 residents. So, with that said, I know that we all need to remain vigilant in order to keep preventing the spread of COVID-19. But we continue to see numerous impacts throughout our community. In fact, on this next slide, you'll see, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, who recently reported that the US gross domestic product had the worst quarter on record, collapsing at a negative 32.9% rate in Q2. And most of this is just because of the pause which so many businesses experienced and the economic fallout of the COVID-19 recession. And typically, as most of you might know, a recession is commonly defined as 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP. So, significant impact on our economy. And I also wanted to highlight the unemployment rate according to SANDAG on a local basis. So as of August 1st, unemployment in the county is remaining around 14%. And compared to the peak of the Great Recession in 2010, when unemployment reached its height at 10.8%, the unemployment rate peaked at 25% in early May during the COVID-19 recession. So in total, the region has suffered almost 18 consecutive weeks of unprecedented unemployment rates. So as we continue to see the number of the cases, we're in a much better position. We really are planning for the worst case scenario. In many cases, a lot of sources are indicating that it could be as far out as a 5-year turnaround in terms of the economic impact and the people that we're serving. So it will just be interesting to continue to watch. Before COVID-19, we estimated that 1 in 8 people in San Diego County faced hunger. We have estimated a 50% increase in need, which would translate into 1 in 6 people in the county. And this is the piece that I just referenced, where a number of sources are indicating that we would expect this level of need for at least another 2 years. So we're in the process of planning longer term to determine how we can maintain our increased level of service during this difficult time. As many of you might know, I know that the additional $600 of weekly unemployment benefit expired at the end of July. That it left roughly 5.4 million Americans continuing to struggle to pay their bills. Multiple surveys recently have found that financial conditions have further deteriorated for unemployed Americans in recent weeks. In July, 29% of the unemployed or furloughed workers lacked adequate funds to pay for basic living expenses, which was up from 16% in June. So there's definitely a continued impact on the people in our community that need our help. And Feeding San Diego is continuing to maintain that level of service in order to help meet that need. At this point, I will turn it over to our Director of Programs, Dana Henderson, to speak to the next section.
Great, thanks, Gavin. Okay, so we're going to speak a little bit about some of our clients, as well as the HEALS Act and what we're asking for in the next relief package. So next slide, please. Oh, excuse me, go back one, please. There we go. Great. So this is a story about Mary. Recently, some of our team members had the opportunity to attend our Campo Mobile Pantry in rural East County in partnership with San Ysidro Health. And there they had the chance to meet many of the people we serve, including the individual you see pictured here named Mary. So Mary started attending our distribution 6 months ago after kind of resisting the need for help or not knowing where to look for help. And she had recently arrived to San Diego from Alabama, but the pandemic quickly changed things for her and her family. She was living with her fiance and 9-year-old son when all of a sudden their landlord notified them that they needed to move. Her ongoing health issues required her to have surgery, which left her out of work with 2 young children at home full time. So between finding an affordable place to live, recovering from surgery, and caring for her children, Mary struggled to find the time and money to purchase nutritious food for her family. When she moved to Campo after being displaced, finding food was even more challenging as the nearest major city was a significant drive away and they had limited gas resources. And she shared that Feeding San Diego's mobile pantry really has made a huge difference in her and her family's lives since they began attending. So she's quoted as saying, "Some months we're just making enough for gas and rent, and it leaves us with very little money to buy food. With the kids being home full time and kids this age eat, it changed things. This distribution makes a big difference in us being able to make it month to month and in making sure that my family eats a more balanced meal." So we're grateful to Mary for sharing her story in the hopes that it will inspire others to ask for help if they need it, and for those who can help to do so. Next slide. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the HEALS Act and some of the advocacy work that Feeding San Diego is doing. So while Feeding San Diego provides more than, I wanted to introduce the HEALS Act first. So on July 27th, the Senate introduced a new coronavirus relief package, and this is called the HEALS Act, but it falls short of what we were really hoping would be included in the HEALS Act. So what I mean by that is the bill leaves out any effort to strengthen the SNAP, or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which in California is known as CalFresh. And SNAP is really one of the most effective ways to make sure kids in our communities get food they need, especially during the current crisis. And the why behind that is that while, again, Feeding San Diego provides over 26 million meals to the community every year, and the Feeding America network provided more than 4 billion meals across the country, there still remains a significant meal gap between what is provided and what is needed. And as you can see by the visual here, for every meal the entire Feeding America network provides, SNAP provides 9 meals. And that is a significant number of meals for people in need. SNAP is really an efficient and cost-effective way to help meet that need and stimulate the local economy as well. During the last recession, for example, for every dollar spent on the SNAP program, $1.70 was generated in the economy as people use their SNAP benefits locally. So for this reason, Feeding San Diego has joined other hunger relief organizations across the US in calling for much needed financial support. And we encourage you to join us in telling Congress that charities alone cannot ensure that no one is going hungry during and after COVID-19, and to ask Congress to increase SNAP food assistance by a minimum of 15%. Okay, and now I believe we're going to move on to our partner spotlight. So we are fortunate to have one of our summer meals program partners, ProKids Oceanside, here with us on the call today. So the Summer Food Service Program, or SFSP, is an important federally reimbursed program which allows us to provide hot and cold meals to kids over the summer when they don't have critical access to school nutrition programs. And this is the program that ProKids Oceanside operates in partnership with Feeding San Diego. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Rhiannon from ProKids Oceanside. She is the Youth Development and Community Outreach Coordinator, and ProKids Oceanside has partnered with Feeding San Diego for the past 3 years, since 2018, to participate in both our after-school and summer meal programs. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in mid-March, ProKids Oceanside was quick to work with us to expand their meal service and adapted it into a socially distant drive-through and grab-and-go distribution. And from mid-March to July, they have served over 16,500 hot meals and breakfast to children in the Oceanside community for free. So Rhiannon has spoken at workshops and participated in trainings regarding these programs and has been really a wonderful partner for Feeding San Diego. Thank you, Rhiannon, and welcome.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So I've worked in youth development programs for about 20 years now. This has been one of the harder times, I think, just since March when we started the emergency meals, because we have seen such an increase for need. Our program is located in Oceanside, but we also have a program in our main campus is in the City Heights location. So I'm just speaking to our Oceanside experience. So our mission here is to challenge underserved youth to excel in life by promoting character development, life skills, and values through education and the game of golf. So golf is kind of one of those things that's kind of across the board. You get a lot of different types of economic backgrounds. And so one of the biggest things that we saw when pandemic hit was that our families all pretty much became the same. We had families that were a little more affluent and we had families that were not as affluent as them. So Once that happened and families started losing their jobs, we had 2-income homes where they were down to 0 income at all. We kind of saw that support for each other because everybody was kind of on the same board. And it was really cool to see, actually, because a lot of times you get that kind of us versus you. So it was really cool to see. We had to close our doors to youth programming, which was really hard because these are our kids. These are kids that we see on a daily basis. We help guide them. We help give them support. And our families were not coming in and seeing us. So as soon as we were able to offer food service, we knew that was something we really wanted to do. So we jumped on that. We opened our food service on March 23rd. And since then, we've done 8,815 breakfasts and 8,815 lunches, which is tons of food. And it's really cool to see because we have families that are just such in need that they're coming to us with tears, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to help you. So in the beginning, we pretty much saw families that were our pro-kids families, because a lot of people didn't really know where we were. We're kind of located in a little pocket of Oceanside. We're bordered by Camp Pendleton, and we have a few little communities right here, kind of smaller communities, and we have a large public golf course behind us. So we're kind of in this tiny little pocket, and people don't really know that we're here on a daily basis. So in the beginning, it was just our families. And then word spread. People started talking. Families started telling their neighbors. And there was days where we would see a family that was here, and then all of a sudden we would see 2 or 3 cars that would pull up, and they would say, oh, that family told us about it. And they just kind of were going through the neighborhood like, hey, go get your kids some lunch because there's 5-10 kids out in the neighborhood. So it was pretty cool to see. We have some parents that are big advocates for our programs. So that was a big deal for us to just expand beyond our program families. Many of our families just kind of, like I said, was word of mouth, but then some of our families found us through the Feeding San Diego website, found us through 211. So that was actually pretty cool to know that families were utilizing resources, not just waiting for things to happen. Families really had to jump in and act really quickly. And just kind of a story to go with that was I had a day where I was here. We had 2 cars pull in that we didn't really recognize. We kind of tend to start to know the cars on a daily basis. Kind of like, oh, that family is going to need 5. That family is going to need 2. And these were 2 cars that pulled in that we didn't really recognize. And they parked. And normally our food services drive through. So we just handed into their windows. And these 2 cars parked. And so we were kind of like, okay, that's weird. But the one lady, she came out, I greeted her. I said, can I help you? She said, I had heard that you guys are doing lunches here. And I was like, yep, we got lunches. How many kids do you got? You know, and I saw all 4 kids pop their heads out of the window, and they were like, we're all right here. And it was pretty cool because they were hungry and they were there. And so I was like, next time you come, I want to make your life easy. All you got to do is drive through. We have kind of a half roundabout in the front of our building. So she was just in tears, and she said, wait, do I need to give you anything? Do I need any kind of proof? And I said, your proof is those 4 kids in that car. I was like, we just want to feed those kids and make those kids happy. And she was just in tears, and she said, oh my gosh, bless you so much. She was just so thankful. And then she went back to her car, and then the other lady got out of her car, and she was a lot older. She was struggling to figure out her mask. And I said, you know, let me help you out. And I helped her get her mask on. And she was really thankful. Same thing. She kind of was like, what do I need to do? What do I, and I was like, nope, you're good. You've got your grandkids. I could see her grandkids in the car. And she was in tears, and she said, I've been to 3 other sites before I got here, and there was no food here, no food at the other sites. And once I got to your site, knowing that you guys have food, I'm so thankful, because otherwise these kids are not going to eat until 6 o'clock my daughter comes home when she makes dinner. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, let me give you all this food. So it was really cool because just knowing, and I asked both of them as they were walking away, I said, you know, I'm just curious where you guys found us through. And both of them had found us through 211. And that was really cool to know that they were utilizing their resources in their community. A lot of people don't necessarily know about 211, and I always push that out there because I used to work for a social services agency, and I had families coming in all the time, and families just don't know that there's resources out there. So it's pretty cool that they're able to utilize their resources like that. And that's just one day. That was one day with 2 families. We have struggling families every single day. I have a mom who comes here every day. She gets 4 meals. She feeds her 3 kids and her neighbor kid. And she's amazing because she wants to make sure that the neighbor kid gets food because she knows that there's a situation at home where this kid may not be eating. And so it's pretty cool to see because we know that families are really in need. So we've also been able to give out other resources, such as the pandemic EBT information. We know that there's families that have taken advantage of those services. We've also been able to partner up with our Oceanside library. And so Lisa from the library, she brings us books on a monthly basis. And they're brand new books, and they're all different ages. They're little kids up to high school kids. And then she's got little packets with activities. And our families are constantly asking for that. Do you guys have any books left? And it's kind of first come, first serve. But it's been pretty cool because we know our kids are actually, hopefully they're reading them. But they're getting those books and they're getting stuff to do. Personally, I also do art club activities. So we give out to all of our families coming in. We give out flyers for our Zoom activities for the week. So we have science activities, cooking classes. There's been some physical activities. I do a Lego one every other Tuesday. I'm a graffiti artist, so I do a graffiti art workshop. So it's been pretty cool. Even though those kids that are coming to get lunches are not our members, we're able to still give them enrichment activities as well. So, and then we've also kind of been able to do some school supplies. So when we have extra school supplies, we've had families that have come in crying. We had one little lady, she was so sweet, and she didn't speak a lot of English, and she kept telling me that she just needed papel. I was like, oh, you just need paper. I was like, I got you. So we got her some paper. We were able to give her a pack of paper, and she was in tears just for a pack of paper. And that just really speaks to where we're at in our community, because if we're not able to provide for, just a pack of paper, you can see where, our families are really, really in need of that. I think that's kind of I'm kind of towards the end. I just as a personal, I've worked with Feeding San Diego for a really long time, and just seeing the growth and the amazing things that you guys are doing, it's so cool. Our partnership from Pro Kids with Feeding San Diego is it's huge. Just to training staff, training us on how to handle things, meeting with, I know Farah is amazing. Farah and Bree are so awesome. Those are our 2 contacts with these programs, and we couldn't do this without them. There's days every single day where we know they're the ones that are really helping us out. So yeah, I think if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to hit me up.
Thank you so much, Rhiannon, for sharing. We really value your partnership. Feeding San Diego is only as strong as all of our partners that are meeting the need. So thank you. I now want to turn over to introduce one of our corporate partners, Kroger. Joining us today from Kroger, the parent company of Ralph's and Food for Less, is John Vitava, the Director of Corporate Affairs at Ralph's. And since 2009, Ralph's and Food for Less have provided more than 1.1 million in monetary contributions to Feeding San Diego, and they have also donated more than 925,000 pounds of food just last year. And we currently rescue food from over 20 Ralph's stores throughout San Diego County, as well as 13 Food for Less stores. So we are incredibly proud of our partnership and are deeply grateful to John and all of his colleagues for their continued support. With that, I'll turn it over to you, John.
Thanks, Gavin, and thanks for having us today. And thanks, Rhiannon, for sharing those touching stories. That's a tough act to follow, for sure. So a little bit about Ralph's and Food for Less. As Gavin mentioned, we are part of the Kroger company. If you look at Kroger, 18 different grocery store banners, about 2,700 stores in about, I think, 37 states, and over 500,000 associates that work for the company. Here locally in the San Diego region and in Southern California, Ralph's and Food for Less comprise over 300 stores and about 35,000 associates. So, as a company, that's one of our core strengths, is having that physical presence in the community. And from a reputation standpoint, it's an advantage to be a part of these communities that we serve. And we're in a very privileged position of having both tremendous scale and local community connections to make a real difference in people's lives. So if you look at Ralph's alone, oldest grocery chain west of the Mississippi, been around for 147 years. And Kroger itself is 136 years in business. So we've learned a few things about people and food along the way. And what we know is that meals matter. And families that share meals together have children that do better in all aspects of their lives. But there is a fundamental abnormality or absurdity, I guess you could say, that exists in the US, is that 40% of the food that's produced here in the US goes to waste, while 1 in 9 Americans goes hungry. It's even worse in San Diego too, when you've got 1 in 8 adults who deal with hunger, and 1 in 6 children don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And that tears at our heart. And as a company that provides food and that essential products and services, we can't stand back and watch that any longer. So we're committed to making the world a better place. And we know that our purpose is to feed the human spirit and to make a difference in the lives of others. And we have a heritage of being fresh for everyone and always providing the food and nourishment that people need to live their best lives. Next slide, Gavin, if you could please. So that led us to launch our Zero Hunger, Zero Waste social impact plan. And this is our goal of working to end hunger in our communities and eliminate waste within our company by the year 2025. It's a very bold goal. So we launched in September of 2017. So we're coming up on our 3rd anniversary. And in that time, we have been able to, Kroger as a whole, been able to provide 1 billion meals. And when you break that down, that equates to more than 10 meals every second of every day for the last 3 years. So it's something that we take great pride in, and it's something that we're working to make the best of a bad situation. So how we're doing this is food donations. The product that we can't sell, we donate to groups like mainly Feeding America Food Bank, so Feeding San Diego being one of the main recipients in the San Diego County area. We take that money, perishable donations, so it's the meats, the produce, the bakery items, the dairy items, and so forth. And we not only are working to donate more food, but we're working to donate balanced meals to nourish our communities and encourage healthy lives. So we also do that aside from food, what we call food rescue is cash donations. So whether it's just straight cash donations from our foundation, we also do, you may have seen in the stores, we have the cash coin canisters at the register. So when people drop in loose change, it really adds up because Rouse and Food for Less generate over $1 million through those coin canisters over the course of a year that we are able to distribute out to groups like Feeding America and other nonprofit organizations that are working to provide hunger relief. We now have Roundup availability at our registers too. So next time you're shopping with us and the cashier asks, would you like to round up to support ending hunger in our communities? Say yes, because that money is going directly back to these local nonprofits that are working to make a difference in the communities. And we also do other fundraising efforts, and I'll talk to those in a minute. Waste obviously is becoming, one of the big topics too. And so by 2020, we've announced, we have our sustainability goals. And just to give you a little bit about our waste efforts, Rouse and Food for Less are actually the top 2 divisions within the Kroger company at reducing waste. And that's through our efforts of food rescue, where we are donating 100% of all of our stores are donating product. And then we are also, doing our best at, we have what's called an anaerobic digester, which is really cool at our facility in Compton. And the food that we can't donate, we do send that back because we put that into our anaerobic digester that will churn up those materials, the produce and the meats that we can't donate and all the perishable items. It'll churn it up and it turns it into a slurry, which becomes a gas. And without going into too much detail, it basically creates methane gas that can power a portion of our facility here in Compton. So, it's really an awesome opportunity to use science to make a big difference in the community as well. Specifically in San Diego, what we're doing since 2009, as Gavin mentioned, Rouse and Food for Less have donated nearly $1.2 million to Feeding San Diego. And our total pounds donated in 2019 was nearly 1 million pounds of food. So far in 2020, we're around 500,000 pounds of food. So we're on goal of meeting our numbers from last year too. And we're grateful for the partnership with Feeding San Diego because we know that it's going to a great place and it's going to get to the people who need it the most. And together we have hosted some great fundraising drives with Feeding San Diego too. You'll see the picture there with Sharina. And, we generated $45,000 to raise funds for the Fuel for Summer campaign, which helped kind of bridge that gap from the end of the school year through the summer months till school started up and school meals started up again. So we work to help bridge that gap. We also have our Help for the Hungry fundraiser too. So the food boxes that you see there on the table, customers would donate $5 or $10. Rouse and Food for Less would kick in money as well, and help generate $50,000. And then we were also a sponsorship of the Give Hope, Share Joy holiday campaign this last winter. And when COVID-19 rolled around, obviously, we heard from a lot of folks and a lot of people in need at that time. We started up a fundraiser, emergency fundraiser, and we were able to provide $30,000 to Feeding San Diego to help, with all these hunger relief efforts. I'm laughing because I got this in the mail the other day and was checking it out, but this is a great brochure that came out from Feeding San Diego about their impact report. And it's very heartening to see the amount of work that Feeding San Diego is doing. So my hat is off to you. Great work. Thank you for all you're doing for the community. As far as the food supply and going forward with COVID-19, everything is looking good at the moment. Everything's looking fresh and in stock. We are experiencing high demand for certain areas. Obviously, toilet paper back on top of the list again. canned tomatoes, and of course cleaning supplies. Those are in short order as usual, but you know, we're hoping to get things normalized, and we just remind our customers and all shoppers to take what you need and leave something behind for your neighbors and friends. And then we're also seeing some high demand, obviously, for comfort food as well, too. So ice cream, frozen novelties, chips, cookies, crackers, stuff like that. So, you know, I know that times have been tough for a lot of people, and we're soothing with food. So that kind of wraps up the presentation, but I just wanted to say thank you so much to Feeding San Diego for the tremendous work that you're doing in the community and allowing us to be a part of that. Ralph's and Food for Less are greatly appreciative of our partnership, so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. We are so thankful to have partners like you, both as an individual lighting the way within Ralph's, but also Kroger and Ralph's and Food for Less as a corporate partner of ours. I love that you mentioned recognizing the power of a meal and what that can do. That's really what our mission is about, is helping people get access to food so that they can live full lives. And the other thing you mentioned that I loved was that note about the absurdity of food waste compared to our community. And we really appreciate that you, through actions with Kroger, put that to use. The other thing I wanted to highlight and say thank you is for the years of volunteer service from the Ralph's and Food for Less teams. So thank you so much. And with that, I'll share some about food sourcing and distribution. Go to the next slide. So a key strength of Feeding San Diego really lies in our network model of food distribution. We provide food to the community in partnership with over 300 distribution sites throughout the county, including ProKids Oceanside, who you heard from earlier on this call. The strength of these partnerships has allowed us to work with partners as COVID-19 hit to increase the amount of food we were distributing to each site and help families find sites in their neighborhood that already existed, but that might have been new to them because they hadn't experienced hunger before COVID-19. As the pandemic has continued to evolve and change, we continue to respond to community need and are working closely with our partners to adapt distribution and where food is going and where it's needed more based on the need that we're hearing from the community. Over time, the need has shifted slightly away from some of our larger scale distributions that we stood up early on and has gone back to the neighborhoods where people are facing facing hunger. As always, you can find this map and all of our partner sites on our website at feedingsandiego.org. And you can click on the Get Help section to explore our partner sites on the Find Food map. And I encourage you, even if you're not in need, to check out the map and see what partner sites are in your area that you may not have even known were close by. And that's a good sign that there are folks in your neighborhood that are facing hunger and need to access that food. Go to the next slide. So Feeding San Diego has really ramped up our summer meal program during the pandemic. We're currently supporting 29 summer meal sites across San Diego County. This is under a federal program called SFSP, which stands for the Summer Food Service Program. At these 29 meal sites, kids aged 1 through 18 can receive a free breakfast and lunch daily. They do not have to be present to receive a meal under a current waiver for the program. A parent or guardian can pick up the meals for them if they provide the names of their children. These sites, like you heard from ProKids, operate as drive-through pickups with the meals served on a first-come, first-served basis to be taken home for consumption, which normally in normal non-COVID times, these meals are consumed on-site by the children. We quickly launched 11 sites early in our COVID response in March, and we're quickly providing 25,000 meals weekly. Last month, we also added 12 additional sites, in partnership with San Diego Parks and Recreation. And last week we added 6 additional sites. So we're really proud of the opportunity that we've brought into the community for kids to receive meals, hot and cold meals to take home with them to consume. On to the next slide. So Feeding San Diego has distributed over 12.8 million meals since the start of our pandemic response on March 14th. We've distributed 42% more meals to the community during this time compared to the same period last year. And the graph that we have there is showing the different models that we distribute food by. So the yellow is agency empowered, and this is where our partner distribution sites pick up product like from Ralph's directly from retail and other smaller scale sites throughout the community. So under agency empowered, our food system has already done great work to get the food out throughout San Diego County. And since we also have partners throughout San Diego County, and the food that is provided in that way often has between a 3 and 5 day life to be consumed by, we keep that food hyper-local and partners pick up that food directly from our retail locations. In the orange, you'll see distribution center, and that's one of the areas that have really grown since the previous year. That's food moving through our distribution center. And as we've mentioned in previous calls, we've had to bring in a lot more purchased food to fill in the gap of our typical donations that we're capturing from manufacturers and higher up on the supply chain than we normally do. We're normally about rescuing food primarily. Then you'll see the school meals in blue. In 2019, you can barely see them because there's such a large difference between the two. In 2019 for school meals, we were doing almost 57,000 meals in the period that we've been doing our COVID response, compared to now over 373,000 meals. So again, really proud of the increase and ability to get those meals to kids in need. And then in the green, you'll see CalFresh. So CalFresh, as Dina mentioned, is the California name for SNAP and the program that gives families federally EBT cards that they can go in and use in grocery stores and other locations to pick up food for their family. I also wanted to answer one of the questions that came up around the availability of food to rescue has drastically declined due to restaurant closures and more people cooking at home. And so, as I mentioned here, the agency empowered, you'll see it's not that different. So while we have seen a dip, it's not gone down by that much. One of the really interesting things with the focus on food waste is a lot of folks are really focused on food waste that they can see, which is usually at restaurants and below, closer catering companies when they're at a hotel. But Feeding San Diego over the course of our last 12 years, and really food banking in general, has really been built over the last few years about capturing food higher up on the supply chain. So if you consider farms and manufacturers and distributors and then retail locations, the bulk of the food that we're capturing is really happening higher up on the supply chain. And while we have seen some impact lower in the supply chain, fortunately, the numbers that we're working at with higher up on the supply chain are so large that that's allowed us to continue to rise to meet the need here in the community. Go to the next slide, which is emergency preparedness, another key role that Feeding San Diego plays, and really what we were grown out of at our start. So the next slide. So Feeding San Diego is participating in Listos, California, which is a campaign to educate our community to be prepared for a disaster. With fires throughout California happening already, preparedness for a disaster should really be top of mind. And there are 5 simple steps that can help you be ready right now. And this is important for families with whatever reality you're facing, whether you're in need now for food or not. So With that in mind, these 5 simple steps include getting alerts. So sign up to get alerts so you are aware of disasters that may be occurring near you. Make a plan with and for your family and include pets and older adult family members who live alone. Pack a go bag in case you need to leave quickly, and build a stay box in case it's most safe to stay home for a period of time, and help friends and neighbors get ready. So we're approaching September, which is Emergency Preparedness Month, and now is a great time to start preparing if you haven't already. The sites listed above, that's the site listed above on the right is Catholic Charities. They have a lot of great documents to help you plan on their emergency preparedness slide, and also the Listos California. They come in multiple language and have really clear and easy instructions to help you and your family rest assured in your preparedness as we approach local fire season here. And with that, I will pass it back to Gavin.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Now I'm gonna walk us through just some quick updates on community support. Just as a reminder to everyone on the call, if you do have questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen through Zoom. Unfortunately, if you are calling in via phone, we don't have the functionality to submit questions, but we're more than happy to do so if you'd like to contact us by emailing info@feedingsandiego.org. So we will definitely get back in touch with you and answer any questions that you have through that channel. Wanted to let everyone know that earlier this month, we launched a new campaign called Hunger Matau, which is a volunteer-driven campaign to harness the power of the giving spirit of the Indian American community in order to raise funds for Feeding San Diego, as well as people facing hunger. And Hunger Matau means Wipeout Hunger in Hindu. And this campaign was launched originally in 2017, and it was designed as a movement associated with the Indian American Council. And they had launched the campaign to coincide with India's Independence Day, which is held annually on August 15th. So here in San Diego, one of our amazing volunteers, Nanditha Krishnan, has been volunteering with us for more than 2 years. And her family are serving as ambassadors for this campaign and are working to mobilize the Indian American community to raise awareness and funds for people facing hunger. So Nanditha has done an incredible job, and it's just amazing of how people are coming together during this difficult time. There's more information about the Hunger Matau campaign on our website at feedingsandiego.org. And thank you again to Nanditha for really leading the charge in this effort. As we all know, there's so many people facing hunger in our community, and it's just so inspiring to see so many people stepping forward in new ways like this creative campaign to get people to support our work. Just very grateful. Second, I wanted to highlight, in addition to what Alicia mentioned, that Emergency Preparedness Month was September, it is actually National Hunger Action Month. And so this is a national awareness campaign that's designed to really engage the public and take action on the issue of hunger. And this year we're incredibly proud that the United Nations Association San Diego chapter is endorsing the campaign on a local level, primarily because Feeding San Diego addresses 3 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which includes no hunger, climate action, and partnerships. So we're incredibly grateful to our colleagues at the United Nations Association for working with us on this campaign. There's so much alignment in advancing our collective missions together that I'm just really excited to be able to work with you on this initiative. And throughout the month, there's various ways that people can support and get involved. As you've heard us mention in the past, we're seeing so many people in need in the community, many of whom are facing hunger for the first time. And we know that asking for help isn't easy, but helping out can be. And we really want to encourage the community to recognize, that every action counts, no matter how large or how small. It all takes the community coming together, as everyone has done since COVID-19 hit. We continue to be inspired by San Diegans coming together during this difficult time. So if you're interested in learning more about Hunger Action Month and all the ways to get involved, please visit our website at feedingsandiego.org. We'll be releasing more information about all the different happenings coming up. We'll be encouraging people to go orange on social media. We have an incredible partnership with the Padres, which will be benefiting from their broadcast auction for hunger relief on Friday, September 4th. And there'll be links to incredible auction packages that'll start on August 31st. It's benefiting us as well as the San Diego Food Bank. And there'll be various ways to get involved. And I also think one of the other aspects of this campaign that I wanted to highlight is our partnership with Pop Culture Hero Coalition. We will be inviting children between the ages of 6 to 18 to participate in an art challenge, and inviting children to draw an image of their vision of a hunger-free and healthy San Diego. This is a really nice way to kind of engage everyone in San Diego County in working towards our end goal, which we're all dedicated to ending hunger in our community. So stay tuned and visit our website for more information on that. As we continue to receive an incredible amount of support from individuals, I wanted to also recognize our corporate and foundation partners for making gifts of $10,000 above in July. And these incredible partners, just this month, we had over 50,000 from Enterprise Fill Your Tank. They've been an annual partner of ours and have really increased their giving to support our COVID-19 response efforts, as well as Raytheon Technologies, which has come through with a $278,000 gift. Really, really impressive. That is really allow us to continue to do this important work in the community. And finally, special thanks to the Starbucks Foundation. In addition to our strong food share, food rescue program, they also provide financial contributions, and they just came on board with a nearly $84,000 grant to support our mobile pantry program, which primarily serves a lot of rural communities in San Diego County. So thank you to all of these partners. In total, since COVID-19 hit, we have actually received more than 327 organizations have come forward and supported our efforts. So really incredible. And as we continue this work and touch on the longer term economic impact, we just really need to be prepared to purchase additional food and continue our important work in the community. Moving on to our individual donors, there are so many that we cannot possibly thank them in an appropriate fashion. And since COVID-19 hit, we've received support from more than 15,000 individuals. Just incredible. And I want to give a special shout out. We have an incredible giving society called The Grove, which is a group designed for individuals making gifts of $1,000 and above. We have a full donor list on our website at feedingsandiego.org. We have nearly 900 current members who have made a commitment of $1,000 or more. Really excited about that. Feel free to visit our website for more information. And just a quick reminder, on our website as well, we have a coronavirus landing page which includes quick links to our Find Food map and to showcase additional ways that the community can come together and support Feeding San Diego and those people that we serve. So sometimes that's just including raising awareness of the issue. And as Rhiannon touched on earlier in our call today, just the importance of getting the information out there that there are resources in local communities that provide free food assistance, no questions asked, and really letting people know that the community is coming together and we can provide our mission and provide that critical basic needs and that food that people rely on. Finally, just a quick reminder, we have moved to a monthly schedule on these calls. If you've registered through the Zoom registration process, you will automatically be sent reminder emails with the login information for these webinar calls. So our next call will be scheduled on September 15th. It is the third Tuesday of every month. And finally, I know we're running a little short on time, but we have a few more minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen and just submit your question and we'd be happy to answer those. Well, I don't see any more questions. Unless any of my colleagues have anything to add, I just want to, again, thank our special guest speakers. Thank you, John and Rhiannon, for joining us today. We are incredibly proud of our partnership with both of you, both in delivering our mission, and also gathering the resources in terms of being able to provide that mission. So, and thank you to all of you who have joined us for taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit more about Feeding San Diego and what's happening on the front lines. Again, we look forward to working with you to create a hunger-free and healthy San Diego. Thank you so much for your time.